The results of your personality test are in. Here they are. Personality type. Commander. ENTJA. Traits. Extroverted 75%, intuitive 70%, thinking 76%, judging 74%, assertive 89%. Role. Analyst strategy. People mastery. Fun facts about commanders. Finally, here are some cool commander insights from our research. According to our surveys, commanders are the most likely personality type to need a job that gives them freedom to decide what they do and how they do it, consider themselves ambitious, resist social pressure, be high achievers, enjoy setting goals for improving themselves. For more insights, check out our research using the link above. Our surveys are a great way to compare your habits, goals, and attitudes with other commanders. Commander personality. ENTJA, ENTJT. Introduction. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs. Commanders are natural-born leaders. People with this personality type embody the gifts of charisma and confidence, and project authority in a way that draws crowds together behind a common goal. However, commanders are also characterized by an often ruthless level of rationality, using their drive, determination, and sharp minds to achieve whatever end they've set for themselves. Perhaps it is best that they make up only 3% of the population, lest they overwhelm the more timid and sensitive personality types that make up much of the rest of the world. But we have commanders to thank for many of the businesses and institutions we take for granted every day. Striving for greatness. If there's anything commanders love, it's a good challenge, big or small, and they firmly believe that given enough time and resources, they can achieve any goal. This quality makes people with the commander personality type brilliant entrepreneurs. And their ability to think strategically and hold a long-term focus while executing each step of their plans with determination and precision makes them powerful business leaders. This determination is often a self-fulfilling prophecy, as commanders push their goals through with sheer willpower where others might give up and move on. And their extroverted nature means they are likely to push everyone else right along with them, achieving spectacular results in the process. At the negotiating table, be it in a corporate environment or buying a car, commanders are dominant, relentless, and unforgiving. This isn't because they are cold-hearted or vicious per se, it's more that commander personalities genuinely enjoy the challenge, the battle of wits, the repartee that comes from this environment. And if the other side can't keep up, that's no reason for commanders to fold on their own core tenet of ultimate victory. The underlying thought running through the commander mind might be something like, I don't care if you call me an insensitive B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** efficient B**********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************it. If there's anyone commanders respect, it's someone who is able to stand up to them intellectually, who is able to act with a precision and quality equal to their own. Commander personalities have a particular skill in recognizing the talents of others, and this helps in both their team-building efforts, since no one, no matter how brilliant, can do everything alone, and to keep commanders from displaying too much arrogance and condescension. However, they also have a particular skill in calling out others' failures with a chilling degree of insensitivity, and this is where commanders really start to run into trouble. A worthy challenge emotional expression isn't the strong suit of any analyst type, but commanders' distance from their emotions is especially public and felt directly by a much broader swath of people. Especially in a professional environment, commanders will simply crush the sensitivities of those they view as inefficient, incompetent, or lazy. To people with the commander personality type, emotional displays are displays of weakness. And it's easy to make enemies with this approach. Commanders will do well to remember that they absolutely depend on having a functioning team, not just to achieve their goals, but for their validation and feedback as well. something commanders are, curiously, very sensitive to. Commanders are true powerhouses, and they cultivate an image of being larger than life, and often enough they are. They need to remember, though, that their stature comes not just from their own actions, but from the actions of the team that props them up, and that it's important to recognize the contributions, talents and needs, especially from an emotional perspective, of their support network. Even if they have to adopt a fake it till you make it mentality, if commanders are able to combine an emotionally healthy focus alongside their many strengths, they will be rewarded with deep, satisfying relationships and all the challenging victories they can handle. Strengths and weaknesses. Commander strengths. Efficient. Commanders see inefficiency not just as a problem in its own right, but as something that pulls time and energy away from all their future goals, an elaborate sabotage consisting of irrationality and laziness. People with the commander personality type will root out such behavior wherever they go. Energetic. Rather than finding this process taxing, commanders are energized by it, genuinely enjoying leading their teams forward as they implement their plans and goals. Self-confident. Commanders couldn't do this if they were plagued by self-doubt. They trust their abilities, make known their opinions, and believe in their capacities as leaders. Strong-willed. Nor do they give up when the going gets tough. Commander personalities strive to achieve their goals, but really nothing is quite as satisfying to them as rising to the challenge of each obstacle in their run to the finish line. Strategic thinkers. Commanders exemplify the difference between moment-to-moment crisis management and navigating the challenges and steps of a bigger plan, and are known for examining every angle of a problem and not just resolving momentary issues, but moving the whole project forward with their solutions. Charismatic and inspiring. These qualities combine to create individuals who are able to inspire and invigorate others, who people actually want to be their leaders. And this in turn helps commanders to accomplish their often ambitious goals that could never be finished alone. Commander weaknesses. Stubborn and dominant. Sometimes all this confidence and willpower can go too far, and commanders are all too capable of digging in their heels, trying to win every single debate and pushing their vision, and theirs alone. Intolerant. It's my way or the highway. People with the commander personality type are notoriously unsupportive of any idea that distracts from their primary goals, and even more so of ideas based on emotional considerations. Commanders won't hesitate a second to make that fact clear to those around them. Impatient. Some people need more time to think than others, an intolerable delay to quick-thinking commanders. They may misinterpret contemplation as stupidity or disinterest in their haste, a terrible mistake for a leader to make. Arrogant. Commander personalities respect quick thoughts and firm convictions, their own qualities, and look down on those who don't match up. This relationship is a challenge for most other personality types who are perhaps not timid in their own right, but will seem so beside overbearing commanders. Poor handling of emotions. All this bluster, alongside the assumed supremacy of rationalism, makes commanders distant from their own emotional expression and sometimes downright scornful of others. People with this personality type often trample others' feelings, inadvertently hurting their partners and friends, especially in emotionally charged situations. Cold and ruthless. Their obsession with efficiency and unwavering belief in the merits of rationalism, especially professionally, makes commanders incredibly insensitive in pursuing their goals. Dismissing personal circumstances, sensitivities, and preferences as irrational and irrelevant. Romantic relationships. As in other areas of their lives, commanders approach dating and relationships with a set of goals and a plan to achieve them, and proceed to do so with impressive energy and enthusiasm. People with the commander personality type are in it to win, and will gladly take leading roles in relationships from the start. A assuming personal responsibility for how smoothly things go and working actively to ensure a mutually rewarding experience. Romantic relationships are a serious business, and commanders are in it for the long haul. Taking the lead, this sense of personal responsibility means that commanders put a lot of energy into their relationships. And they show their creativity by always having something new on the agenda to keep things interesting, especially in the dating phase. At the same time though, commander personalities keep their eyes on the long term, and if they determine that a relationship is heading towards a dead end, they will cut their losses and move on in what will seem to their partner an abrupt end to the attention they had been receiving. This occasional ruthlessness with personal relationships is commanders' primary weakness, and if they aren't careful they can develop quite the reputation. Sensing others' feelings and emotions will never be a comfortable skill for commanders, but it is critical that they work consciously to develop it, both for their partner's sake and for their own healthy emotional expression. If they don't, they risk dominating and overruling their partners, and this insensitivity can easily break a relationship, especially early on. Loving boldly, but as all goes well in the dating phase and a future is deemed viable, people with the commander personality type continue to impress with their creativity and energy. Their authentic confidence makes commanders' sex life dynamic, to say the least, and they often push to explore new ways to express their affection with imaginative enthusiasm. Yet commanders tend to have these innovations planned in advance, with some structure and predictability to their sex lives, leaving the true spontaneity to those less organized personality types. Commanders are extremely growth-oriented, and will seize any opportunity to improve themselves, listening to and acting on criticisms, so long as they are logical ones, and always striving to improve their knowledge. At the same time, commanders expect this of their partners, and it is surprising to them that others don't always share this attitude. Still more surprising to commander personalities is others' active efforts to avoid these tense situations. Commanders in particular would do well to remember that their approach is just one angle of a multifaceted spectrum of alternatives. While commanders may view criticism as the most efficient route, and they're often right, they should bear in mind that their partners may be more interested in emotional support and growth, an area of self-improvement that commanders themselves too often avoid. As with most things, balance is key, and commanders should strive to meet their partners halfway, whatever their needs, be it through honest criticisms or steady emotional support and praise. As with other analyst types, commanders' best matches are with other intuitive N types, with one or two opposing traits to create more balance in the relationship. Mature commanders are able to recognize and adapt to the needs of their partners, and know that even the most rational individuals have emotional needs that must be met. Fortunately, the same logic that dismisses emotions is also able to recognize that a conciliatory attitude can be the best tool to get the job done. With their strong senses of responsibility and dedication, people with the commander personality type are sure to make this effort, resulting in long-lasting, satisfying relationships. Friendships. As in most aspects of their lives, in friendship commanders seek personal growth and inspiration, and they often have a plan for how to accomplish it. Friendships of circumstance, built on things like shared routines, are not commanders' preferred method. Rather, they pursue their friends, seek out individuals who share their passion for deep, meaningful discussions, and who enjoy learning and development as much as they do. It is not always easy to be commanders' friends. They demand a lot from these relationships, but they pay a great deal of attention to their friendships, and it is unlikely that it will ever feel stagnant. Commander friendships are built on ideas, and a lot of what they find enjoyable is the repartee of putting thoughts forward and defending them from assault from every angle. People with the commander personality type are very smart and highly critical, and they won't back down if they are put on the defensive. In fact, there's no better way to earn their respect. It's not easy to stand up to a personality as big and blustery as commanders, and they too often find that others crumple under the force they apply when they really start to enjoy themselves. Only the most hardened rationalists are able to hold their ground against strongly expressed commander personalities, who neither need emotional support, nor understand others' need for it. This lack of sensitivity is commanders' chiefest weakness. Their tendency to challenge their friends, question their conclusions, and dismiss emotional arguments as irrelevant is especially difficult for feeling-oriented friends to cope with. Either a point is supported by logic and reason, or it is erroneous. Bridging the gap. More enlightened commanders recognize that if ever there was an area where they could learn from others and improve themselves, it is in the realm of emotional sensitivity. To dismiss any aspect of personal growth borders on hypocrisy. Friendships with people from the diplomat type group can be especially rewarding for commanders, as the shared intuitive N trait fosters an instantaneous connection that can bridge the chasm between their uninhibited logic and the recognition that cooperation and conciliation can often accomplish more than that logic ever could alone. Still, the bulk of commanders' friends will likely fall into the analyst category, as all of these types share the same passion for logical, far-reaching ideas and critical debate. Anyone who can match commanders' ability to brainstorm and theorize will find an honest and dedicated friend. Anyone who can't or won't, as with many more down-to-earth types who often question the point of such discussions, will find themselves ignored, perhaps a situate ion that is best for everyone. Parenthood. As parents, most commanders must temper their strong-willed, hyper-logical approach to life in order to make room for their children's needs and feelings. This by no means suggests that people with the commander personality type are bad parents. Far from it, simply that their relationships with children, who are typically more sensitive and less able to conduct truly rational analysis, require a great deal more emotional tact and personal liberty than they are accustomed to giving. But commanders are always up for a challenge, and will take their roles as parents seriously and with the utmost sense of personal responsibility, holding themselves to a higher standard than most. Commander personalities see the success of their children as a reflection of those personal standards, and want nothing more than to see them grow into smart, independent people who strive to achieve their goals. Establishing specific moral values is less important to commanders than the cultivation of the intellect and independent, rational thought. Building emotional tolerance. Commanders welcome differences of opinion, and this is true with their children as well. But while gladly having rational, well-thought-out discussions about roles and responsibilities, at the end of the day commanders expect their authority to be respected. A disagreement is no excuse for shirking established responsibilities, and commander parents can be utterly uncompromising in maintaining this structure. This strictness can be a tremendous source of tension in the household. A little flexibility can go a long way. When these debates devolve into emotional appeals is when commander parents run into real trouble, as their persistent weakness with emotional tolerance makes dealing with growing children, especially adolescents, their most significant challenge. As in their other relationships, commander parents should strive to strengthen this skill. Often enough young children don't have the words to express their needs rationally, and adolescents don't have the patience for it. A perfectly natural condition. By learning to listen to emotional expression as a valid form of communication and responding in kind, commanders can help to minimize emotional conflicts with their children, building trust that will help to smooth the otherwise rebellious teenage years. Fostering independence. Commander parents should remember that a part of developing that necessary sense of independence is being able to control one's own schedule and activities, to chart one's own course. At least to a certain extent. People with the commander personality type will spare no effort for their children. But it's sometimes the case that taking a deep breath and loosening their structures as their children grow and mature does more to achieve their goal of raising capable, intelligent adults than forced extracurriculars ever could. Career paths. It is in the world of careers that commanders' boldness and drive are truly at their best. No other personality type is better suited than commanders to be the respected leader of an organization or team, and no other personality type enjoys it quite so much. Combining their vision, intelligence and determination to push ideas through to completion no matter the obstacles, commanders are a force to be reckoned with. A singular vision. In the world of business, the sometimes overbearing level of self-confidence that commanders, especially assertive ones, too often mishandle in their personal relationships is transformed into an admirable authority, keeping people on track and getting things done. Naturally, the best careers for people with the commander personality type make the fullest use of these qualities. And many would describe executive positions and entrepreneurialism to be ideal lines of work, any position high enough that they can clearly see the horizon. For commanders, failure is not an option. They conceive a vision of the future, formulate a strategy to achieve that vision, and execute each step with ruthless precision. Structure and order are key. And if someone gets sloppy, or holds things back with incompetence, laziness or inefficiency, commanders will not hesitate to come down hard. Commander personalities pursue their goals with singular vision, and have strict standards for themselves and others that are designed above all else to be effective. This makes commanders excellent corporate strategists, and their objectivity and clarity of thought make them respected lawyers and judges. None of this could work if no one could understand what commanders were thinking, and they have the good fortune of being clear and concise communicators, especially in person, making business administration a comfortable fit, so long as their tasks don't stray too far into routine maintenance and upkeep. Commanders also have a thirst for knowledge, and they aren't afraid to use a principle. Once they've grasped its underlying mechanisms. Combining this with their leadership makes commanders trying, but effective, university professors. Great expectations. The only problem is, it takes time for commanders' skills to be recognized, and stagnating as low-level employees will have them bouncing off the walls and deeply unhappy. People with the commander personality type crave leadership and responsibility, growth and opportunity, and genuinely enjoy managing others to get a job done. Commanders are visionaries and leaders, not grunts or day-to-day administrators. Getting that to be recognized is not always easy, but commanders are probably up to the task. Workplace habits. For people with the commander personality type, the workplace is all but a natural habitat. Commanders' efficiency and clear communication are valued, their leadership is admired, and their ability to simply get things done is unrivaled. That being said, some situations are more appropriate for commanders than others. These qualities all point to a managerial or executive role, making any position of comparative powerlessness highly undesirable. Commander personality types are strident ones though, able to adapt themselves to just about any hierarchical relationship by doing what they do best, asserting their opinions, taking the initiative, and accomplishing feats that others thought impossible. Commander subordinates. Subordinate positions are challenging for commanders, and it takes active management to ensure their satisfaction and engagement. Ever the high achievers, commander subordinates set out to learn new skills and to seek out new challenges and responsibilities, eager to prove that nothing is impossible with a little hard work. If things get a little slow, commander personalities may slip into periods of absent-mindedness, but when they feel involved in the projects around them, they prove well organized and well prioritized. Commanders hold themselves to very high standards, but a lot of what sets this tone is feedback from their environment, namely, criticism from their managers. Objective, rational statements about what is done right and what can be done better are helpful to commanders, and far from resenting such criticisms, they appreciate them. Opportunities for growth keep people with the commander personality type engaged and productive, and so long as their managers recognize this as their primary responsibility, it will be a fruitful and satisfying relationship. Commander colleagues. Among colleagues, commanders are sociable and greatly enjoy sharing ideas and critiques in their frequent brainstorming sessions. Natural leaders that they are, commanders tend to assert themselves into positions as representatives and project leads, considering their objectivity and charisma the perfect qualities for these roles. Commander personalities enjoy working with equals. But people must demonstrate that they are equals. Anyone commanders view as being less competent or driven will see only condescension and arrogance. Commanders are strong-willed, even dominant. And though they enjoy inspiring and tutoring others, the energy they bring to the process can seem overbearing. When these roles are reversed, commanders' mentors should bear in mind that their students are very rational and respect firm confidence, hand-holding. Emotional appeals or wavering indecision will likely burn the bridge then and there. In a partnership, what is best is what is most effective. And time-wasted sugarcoating reality is just that, time wasted. Commander managers. Commander managers are confident, charismatic communicators, and they communicate but one vision: to get the job done as efficiently as possible, and to the highest standard of quality. All else is subordinate to that objective. But the means by which commanders achieve it cause others to adopt this cause as their own. Commanders are natural leaders, and their ability to formulate a strategy and to identify the strengths of each member of their teams, incorporating those abilities into their plans so that each individual fills a unique and important role, makes them able motivators. But while these efforts boost morale and satisfaction among commanders' like-minded subordinates, they are still crafted to achieve that ultimate goal of timely and exceptional work. Those seen as inefficient by their commander managers, or who demonstrate themselves to be lazy or to produce shoddy work, will know in no uncertain terms of their failure to impress. The only way to recover is to comply. The only alternative is to find a new manager to impress, somewhere else. Conclusion. Armed with a powerful intellect and strategic thinking, commanders can overcome or outmaneuver obstacles that seem unbeatable to most. At the same time, their many quirks, such as often unconstrained rationalism, lead to many misunderstandings. Those misunderstandings end here. What you have read so far is just an introduction. We have a great deal more to tell you about the commander personality type. At some point in reading through your results, you probably hit a tipping point. You went from trademark commander skepticism to, to, wait, what? You may even be a little uncomfortable because you are really not used to being understood, even by the people you're closest to. Chances are, you've accepted that as part of who you are, and maybe even grown proud of it. But embracing that disconnection isn't a requirement for commanders. It's a misused defense mechanism, leading you down a lonely, inefficient path. Gaining insight into yourself and others is so much more rewarding. This is no date of birth gimmick, and no, we did not spy on you. Rather, we've spent years studying commanders' life stories, experiences, and patterns in hundreds of our surveys. Step by step, insight by insight, we discovered how those who share your qualities and outlook have overcome the challenges they've faced. You are a unique individual, but you are not alone in this. It's wise to learn from others' experiences, and we'd really like to share those insights with you. as you move forward into the e-books and interactive courses we offer. We go much deeper into the commander mind. We answer not just what, but why, how, and what if. Why do you act the way you do? How do you find motivation and inspiration? What if you moved beyond fear to pursue what you secretly want to achieve in life? We can show you how to use your strengths to unlock your exceptional potential and avoid common pitfalls, while also staying true to who you are. After all, that's the point. To see how you can grow to be the person you know you're capable of being, in ways that finally feel right, read on, Commander. March 13, 2022 update. Like it or not, everyone experiences a time in their lives where they need to call on others for help. From big events like moving to a new home or the loss of a job, to smaller ones such as borrowing notes from a classmate or having a coworker cover a shift at work, everybody needs a little help sometimes. While needing help from others at times may be a universal experience, different personality types feel very differently about the prospect of asking for help. As a commander, you are likely to face some specific challenges and opportunities when it comes to asking for help. Let's discuss some examples below. Where do commanders struggle? Commanders are one of the most fiercely independent personality types, a trait which can be both beneficial and limiting. Both their desire for independence and their fear of seeming incompetent can prevent them from seeking out help, even when they need it most. Our research suggests that commanders are likely to struggle with both asking for and providing help, because they are afraid of looking weak. Less likely than most other types to feel obligation to help those who are less successful, or to believe that others would help them if they got in trouble. Likely to believe that giving too much help causes people to become dependent. Similarly, commanders cannot stand the thought of being dependent on someone. To clarify, this does not mean that commanders are not helpful. In fact, they are more likely than other types in the analyst group to not pass up an opportunity to help someone. However, true to their independent nature, commanders believe in pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and expect others to do the same. Opportunities, but now these days are gone and I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind, I've opened up the doors. The Beatles, help. On the flip side, as commanders age and mature, they stand to benefit tremendously from overcoming their fears of seeming weak or incompetent. Relationships are just as important to commanders as they are to other personality types, and they have an enormous amount of room for growth both personally and within their relationships. Specifically, they can seek out opportunities to help others, especially in areas where their skills are in demand, such as helping a nonprofit with web design or helping a friend, classmate with a difficult school assignment. Practice asking for help from close friends or family, starting with small things, such as minor car, home repairs, or even just asking them to listen while they vent about their bad day. Take the time to learn more about their hesitations when it comes to asking for or providing help, through journaling or conversations with a trusted family member or friend. How do you feel about asking for help from others? Do you believe that improving this skill would be useful, or is it just a waste of time? Let us know by responding to this email. Welcome to 16 Personalities and many thanks for subscribing to our newsletter. Now that you've hopefully had a chance to read the overview of your commander personality type, we'd like to share some additional insights revealed by our studies. We hope you'll find them fun, interesting, and perhaps both unexpected and strangely familiar. Our research shows that commanders are one of the most likely personality types to be outwardly and openly confident, 85%, speak up if they disagree with everyone else in a large group, 94%, feel comfortable just walking up to someone they find interesting and striking up a conversation, 77%, absolutely agree, enjoy directing other people, 95%, consider themselves influential, 91% agree, feel like other people are drawn to their self-confidence, 85%. Try to negotiate things that most others would regard as non-negotiable, 86%. See themselves as leaders, 96%, agree. Try to claim the shared armrest on flights, 69%. Rarely dwell upon their regrets, 68%. Absolutely agree. Consider their ego a big part of their personality, 83%. Feel like they're in control even when things are going wrong, 84%. Are good at shutting down unwelcome conversations, 89%. Enjoy setting goals for improving themselves, 96%. Absolutely agree. Say their responsibilities give them a sense of security, 80%. Absolutely agree. Can you see yourself in some of these insights? Got any stories to share? Please do so by responding to this email. We'd love to hear from you. In the next email, we'll talk more about how our tools and resources can help you understand, accept, and honor the person you are. This is just the beginning of your self-discovery journey, Commander. We hope you'll find it very enlightening. March 15, 2022 update. In this third and final introductory email, let's talk about what you can learn in your premium profile. While the complimentary information available on our website should give you a fairly good understanding of each personality type, our premium materials go much deeper and are designed to help you use that information to build meaningful relationships, find the right career path, and lead a fulfilling life. The 258-page Commander Premium Profile is divided into 6 major chapters: personal growth, romantic relationships, friendships, parenthood, academic path, career and professional growth. Depending on the section, you will learn not only about yourself, but also about how to forge relationships with other personality types in different contexts: romance, friendships, parenthood, or career. Further to the downloadable premium profile, you will gain access to dozens of practical exercises, additional specialized tests, and other resources to help you put all this knowledge into action. You do not need to take our word for how useful the premium profile is, either. Rather, check out some of the 500+ testimonials people have sent us. They are just like you, with their own challenges, goals and dreams, and our premium resources have helped them grow further and unlock their true potential. We have poured thousands of hours into crafting these materials for you, and we are sure this is one of the best investments you can make into yourself. Of course, there are no magic shortcuts in life, and our insights and advice won't change your life overnight. But in the right hands, they can be a very powerful tool, and we would love for you to benefit from this research. Should we fail to deliver, just let us know within 30 days and we will give you your money back. No hoops to jump through, no questions asked. If you don't find this information useful, we don't want your money. Simple as that. Finally, remember that as a newsletter subscriber, you can get 20% off the premium profile. Just use this discount code in the checkout screen. ACCXXXXX. March 22, 2022 update. In this third and final introductory email, let's talk about what you can learn in your premium profile. While the complimentary information available on our website should give you a fairly good understanding of each personality type, our premium materials go much deeper and are designed to help you use that information to build meaningful relationships, find the right career path, and lead a fulfilling life. The 258-page Commander Premium Profile is divided into 6 major chapters: personal growth, romantic relationships, friendships, parenthood, academic path, career and professional growth. Depending on the section, you will learn not only about yourself, but also about how to forge relationships with other personality types in different contexts: romance, friendships, parenthood, or career. Further to the downloadable premium profile, You will gain access to dozens of practical exercises, additional specialized tests, and other resources to help you put all this knowledge into action. You do not need to take our word for how useful the premium profile is, either. Rather, check out some of the 500+ testimonials people have sent us. They are just like you, with their own challenges, goals and dreams, and our premium resources have helped them grow further and unlock their true potential. We have poured thousands of hours into crafting these materials for you. And we are sure this is one of the best investments you can make into yourself. Of course, there are no magic shortcuts in life, and our insights and advice won't change your life overnight. But in the right hands, they can be a very powerful tool, and we would love for you to benefit from this research. Should we fail to deliver? Just let us know within 30 days and we will give you your money back. No hoops to jump through, no questions asked. If you don't find this information useful, we don't want your money. Simple as that. March 27, 2022 update. Like it or not, everyone experiences a time in their lives where they need to call on others for help. From big events like moving to a new home or the loss of a job, to smaller ones such as borrowing notes from a classmate or having a coworker cover a shift at work, everybody needs a little help sometimes. While needing help from others at times may be a universal experience, different personality types feel very differently about the prospect of asking for help. As a commander, you are likely to face some specific challenges and opportunities when it comes to asking for help. Let's discuss some examples below. Where do commanders struggle? Commanders are one of the most fiercely independent personality types, a trait which can be both beneficial and limiting. Both their desire for independence and their fear of seeming incompetent can prevent them from seeking out help, even when they need it most. Our research suggests that commanders are likely to struggle with both asking for and providing help, because they are afraid of looking weak. Less likely than most other types to feel obligation to help those who are less successful, or to believe that others would help them if they got in trouble. Likely to believe that giving too much help causes people to become dependent. Similarly, commanders cannot stand the thought of being dependent on someone. To clarify, this does not mean that commanders are not helpful. In fact, they are more likely than other types in the analyst group to not pass up an opportunity to help someone. However, true to their independent nature, commanders believe in pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and expect others to do the same. Opportunities, but now these days are gone and I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind, I've opened up the doors. The Beatles help. On the flip side, as commanders age and mature, they stand to benefit tremendously from overcoming their fears of seeming weak or incompetent. Relationships are just as important to commanders as they are to other personality types, and they have an enormous amount of room for growth both personally and within their relationships. Specifically, they can seek out opportunities to help others, especially in areas where their skills are in demand, such as helping a nonprofit with web design or helping a classmate with a difficult school assignment. Practice asking for help from close friends or family, starting with small things, such as minor car, home repairs, or even just asking them to listen while they vent about their bad day. Take the time to learn more about their hesitations when it comes to asking for or providing help, through journaling or conversations with a trusted family member or friend. How do you feel about asking for help from others? Do you believe that improving this skill would be useful, or is it just a waste of time? Let us know by responding to this email. April 3, 2022 update. Where do commanders struggle? Commanders are one of the most fiercely independent personality types, a trait which can be both beneficial and limiting. Both their desire for independence and their fear of seeming incompetent can prevent them from seeking out help, even when they need it most. Our research suggests that commanders are likely to struggle with both asking for and providing help, because they're afraid of looking weak. Less likely than most other types to feel obligation to help those who are less successful, or to believe that others would help them if they got in trouble. Likely to believe that giving too much help causes people to become dependent. Similarly, commanders cannot stand the thought of being dependent on someone. To clarify, this does not mean that commanders are not helpful. In fact, they are more likely than other types in the analyst group to not pass up an opportunity to help someone. However, true to their independent nature, commanders believe in pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and expect others to do the same. Opportunities, but now these days are gone and I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind, I've opened up the doors. The Beatles help. On the flip side, as commanders age and mature, they stand to benefit tremendously from overcoming their fears of seeming weak or incompetent. Relationships are just as important to commanders as they are to other personality types. And they have an enormous amount of room for growth both personally and within their relationships. Specifically, they can seek out opportunities to help others, especially in areas where their skills are in demand, such as helping a nonprofit with web design or helping a friend, classmate with a difficult school assignment. Practice asking for help from close friends or family, starting with small things, such as minor car, home repairs, or even just asking them to listen while they vent about their bad day. Take the time to learn more about their hesitations when it comes to asking for or providing help, through journaling or conversations with a trusted family member or friend. April 17, 2022 update. Are you likely to have to hunt for your keys when you need them? Do you get excessively angry when someone else hasn't put them back exactly where they belong? Or are you somewhere between? People's sense of order says a lot about who they are and reveals something about their priorities. Personality traits often influence how conscientious someone is about details and organization. For some types, order dwells on the periphery of their lives, whereas others see keeping things meticulously sorted out as vital to their identity. Let's take a moment to explore how commanders like you tend to relate to order. Challenges. As with anything in life, your level of organization may present some challenges and opportunities. Let's look at typical commander characteristics first. Our research shows that commanders are more likely than most other types to say that efficiency rather than order itself is the primary goal when organizing something. Lose track of time when working, sometimes even forgetting to eat or drink. Finish all the tasks they need to get done before allowing themselves to relax. Constantly wipe off their smartphone, tablet, or computer screens. Make having a neat and clean home a top priority. Unlike their other analyst cousins, commanders are rarely described as absent-minded. On the contrary, their relentless focus on efficiency may make these personalities seem like embodiments of order and drive. Commanders excel at developing imaginative ideas and crafting intricate strategies. However, they may not pay attention to practical, everyday details as much when they're preoccupied with such things. If someone with this personality type is about to hit a milestone in an exciting project, other things can wait. Opportunities. You may not always be as focused as you'd like to be with everyday matters. Despite your preference for organization, your attention may be on things you feel are more important than mundane, but necessary tasks. However, your loftier pursuits do not make the everyday details of life go away. Balancing your focus between what is important and the small things you need to attend to can help you avoid or reduce stress. Here are some tips and opportunities for growth. Learn organizational life hacks, found in abundance on the internet. Take baby steps and allow the hacks to become habits. As your habits become more automatic, they will take less thought or attention away from the things you'd prefer to focus on. Recruit friends, family, and colleagues who are willing to help you with practical, daily tasks. Perhaps hiring someone, such as a remote virtual assistant, is an option. Allow yourself the luxury of being selectively disorganized when you're busy with other things. Accepting it with good humor can take some of the stigma away. Nobody can be perfectly competent in all of life's skills. Although attention to practical details may not be a commander asset, it doesn't have to become a hobbling deficit. Right now, in what ways are you less organized than you want to be? How do others in your life respond positively or negatively to your level of organization? Let us know. May 1st, 2022 update. Life is full of innumerable obstacles, unexpected surprises, and nasty shocks, and not even the most Zen of Buddhists can always escape the stresses of it all. There are too many potential stressors in life to cover all of them in one newsletter. So instead we'll briefly discuss the role your personality type may play in stress management, and hopefully provide some insights you can use. The mental and physical strain that comes with stress affects each personality type differently. As one of the most likely personality types to want to be completely in control of their life's circumstances, commanders aren't likely to shy away from a challenge, even if it causes undue stress, but they may struggle. According to our data, commanders are likely to consider physical exercise a good outlet for stress. Say that stress usually helps them focus, work hard to get their anxieties and worries under control. Find it easy to stop worrying once they realize they cannot change anything. Believe they have excellent control over their thoughts. Commanders generally do not shy away from stress, perhaps even thriving under it. Stress often acts as a catalyst for the most innovative of commander projects. That said, turbulent commanders are significantly more vulnerable to stress compared to their assertive cousins. For instance, they may have a lot of trouble controlling negative thoughts once they arise, or feel paralyzed if they are forced to pick one of two equally good options quickly. Here are some things commanders can do to rebalance themselves and remain in control under pressure. Take the time to refocus on efficiency and long-term vision. Consider looking for new, unorthodox solutions to their problems. Single out one priority at a time instead of spreading their energy. Remember that perfection is a path, not a destination. Individuals of every personality type can benefit from viewing stressful situations as learning opportunities. Stress may be an inseparable part of our lives, but being aware of its triggers and effects can help you handle it better. How does stress affect you? Do you see it as an opportunity to flip a situation on its head? Or would you rather ignore the world for a while? May 15th, 2022 update. We often wonder, what is the meaning of life? Though answers vary, many share a common thread: love. There are many types of love: familial, platonic, romantic. But today we'll be discussing romantic love, particularly the search for it. Let's consider the role your personality type may play when it comes to finding a partner. Despite commanders' confidence and self-assurance, they sometimes find themselves under-equipped for love and romance. Although they're tactical, rational, and constantly innovative people, commanders find certain traits of theirs troublesome when it comes to searching for a companion. Our research shows that commanders are one of the most likely personality types to not hesitate to end a relationship they believe isn't working. Speak honestly, bluntly in social situations. Show a distinct lack of regard for others' sensibilities. Take the initiative when it comes to dating, actively pursuing the person they're interested in. Focus on the other person's intellect rather than their looks, social skills, or other characteristics. Believe they're very good at attracting potential partners. Even though for many commanders searching for love may feel like a complex and at times irrational pursuit, it's also one of their biggest opportunities. Your personality type can play a valuable part in finding a partner. Love and strategy. Because of commanders' intense ability to discern, they choose partners out of genuine admiration. Relationships are just as important to commanders as they are to other personality types. No emotionless robots here. And they have so much room for growth. Commanders can increase their emotional awareness through mindful conversation. They can start with close friends and family, paying attention to how feelings come across. In situations where commanders find themselves turning off or offending people, they can strategically soften those instincts around more sensitive types. But commanders shouldn't try to completely change themselves. Cliché as it is, the right person will appreciate you at your most honest. A problem-solving approach to romance allows commanders to use their natural aptitudes. The natural inclination to go off the beaten path and find unconventional solutions to old problems will serve them well. Commanders are the least likely type to look for potential partners online, even though online dating suits their busy lives nicely. It may be worth giving it a try on 1 or 2 reputable sites. They may connect you with an amazing person you'd likely never meet otherwise. In a predictable yet fulfilling relationship, staying still is good practice. Resist the temptation to tweak and tinker in hopes of making romance better. May 29, 2022 update. When it comes to authority, or the man, everyone has a different outlook. Because authority plays a role in literally everything we do, it's important to understand how you respond to it, why, and the specific strengths, challenges, and opportunities that come with your response. Here, we define authority as a person or organization who has power or control in a sphere or administration. Commanders tend to have an odd view of authority. This isn't surprising, considering the bundle of contradictory traits that they possess, full of wonder, yet unyieldingly critical of those around them. Our research suggests that commanders tend to see obtaining power and influence as one of their major life goals. Believe that the best way to lead is with a firm hand. Think there is nothing wrong in wanting to have power over people. And are the most likely type to enjoy having such power themselves. May trample over those who are weaker-willed, are much more likely to be authoritarian than democratic leaders. Believe that many people in power don't deserve to be there. In turn, may believe that they, and people like them, are the only ones reliable and knowledgeable enough to have authority. Commanders don't really trust others' abilities, but they do trust their own. They do not shy away from taking leadership roles, and even when they don't want to lead, they accept leadership just to save society from its own blunders. Question your own superiority. Iron-fisted or not, commanders excel in situations that require bold, effective, and logical solutions. With their sharp observational skills, confidence, and dynamism, commanders can wield authority more effectively and smoothly if they inspire others with their innate innovation skills instead of relying on direct orders. Acknowledge other people's talents and delegate responsibility accordingly instead of attempting to be jacks of all trades. Practice empathy and softness, at least situationally, when dealing with subordinates and superiors. Take care to remember that sometimes their way may not always be the best. May 29, 2022 update. Trusting others versus having healthy, or even unhealthy, skepticism. You can trust too much or trust too little. You can be trusting of people in one place but be wary of them in another. Consider someone in your grandma's kitchen or in a dark alley downtown. Much depends on your grandma. And much depends on your town. Your trust level can define your social, professional, and romantic lives in multiple ways. With commanders, distrust is not particularly personal in nature. They have fewer concerns about personal abandonment and being conned than others. Instead, their distrust seems to be a more universal assessment. But commanders should be careful not to judge too broadly. It may be too easy to discount a whole swath of mankind as untrustworthy despite any exceptions that dwell therein. Our research shows that commanders are one of the types most likely to not trust anyone completely. Make conscious efforts to avoid being dependent on other people. Think of the world as an unfair place, perhaps reflecting on their skepticism towards the fairness of humanity. Believe that many people who are deceived are themselves responsible for their victimhood. Trust gets good press, but society needs distrust, too. Distrust puts up caution signs, which slow down short-sighted forward motion. Commanders will hold up their hands while commanding, hold on a minute, allowing things to be more thoroughly evaluated. Opportunities appear when commanders learn to balance their skepticism with openness to possibilities. To do so, they can be careful with generalizations and try not to lump unique individuals in with a distrusted group too quickly. Try to back up any distrustful assertions with concrete evidence before sharing them. Commanders' lack of trust reflects a darker view of mankind, but that can help balance things out when there is too much blind optimism. But, as with everyone, they need to remain open to being wrong. June 13, 2022 update. Trusting others versus having healthy, or even unhealthy, skepticism. You can trust too much or trust too little. You can be trusting of people in one place but be wary of them in another. Consider someone in your grandma's kitchen or in a dark alley downtown. Much depends on your grandma. And much depends on your town. Your trust level can define your social, professional, and romantic lives in multiple ways. With commanders, distrust is not particularly personal in nature. They have fewer concerns about personal abandonment and being conned than others. Instead, their distrust seems to be a more universal assessment. But commanders should be careful not to judge too broadly. It may be too easy to discount a whole swath of mankind as untrustworthy despite any exceptions that dwell therein. Our research shows that commanders are one of the types most likely to not trust anyone completely. Make conscious efforts to avoid being dependent on other people. Think of the world as an unfair place, perhaps reflecting on their skepticism towards the fairness of humanity. Believe that many people who are deceived are themselves responsible for their victimhood. Trust gets good press, but society needs distrust, too. Distrust puts up caution signs, which slow down short-sighted forward motion. Commanders will hold up their hands while commanding, hold on a minute, allowing things to be more thoroughly evaluated. Opportunities appear when commanders learn to balance their skepticism with openness to possibilities. To do so, they can be careful with generalizations and try not to lump unique individuals in with a distrusted group too quickly. Try to back up any distrustful assertions with concrete evidence before sharing them. Commanders' lack of trust reflects a darker view of mankind, but that can help balance things out when there is too much blind optimism. But, as with everyone, they need to remain open to being wrong. June 27, 2022 update. Polite behavior. Some call it good manners and base it on traditional standards. Others see it as respect and create ever-changing measures for polite behavior relative to an ever-changing world. For the latter, the goalpost will always move as cultures evolve. Others find a code an impediment to honest transactions. Social graces typically mean less to commanders than to other types. They don't care as much as others do if they offend someone or whether they are liked. In the right environment, their bluntness can be a powerful tool. However, it can also limit the settings where commanders can be effective. What might work well in one environment may not work so well in another. As a commander, you are likely to find some distinct challenges when it comes to your pro-social behaviors. Our research shows that commanders are one of the types most likely to Not be bothered if someone doesn't like them. Annoy people intentionally just for the sake of it. Believe it's important to tell the truth even at the expense of someone else's feelings. Believe morality is just something people have made up over time. Look after themselves first, with others coming in second. Become suspicious when someone is nice to them for no reason. Use swear words in casual conversation. Softening bluntness for impact's sake. Sheer honesty is important in many situations. However, if there is a need to broadcast information more broadly, beyond just those interested in the facts, the rest of society who aren't commanders, for example, softening bluntness with graciousness can be a vital addition to a commander's skill set. Here are some tips for doing that. Learn traditional manners and use them. It's not a comprehensive answer to anything, but it's a start. Cushioning honesty in diplomacy doesn't necessarily dilute the honesty. Keeping this in mind can be helpful. Learn the difference between being aggressive and being assertive. The internet is full of information on the subject. July 11, 2022 update. Mind reading is assuming that you know another person's thoughts, feelings, or intentions. Although mind reading can seem magical, it is actually very scientific. Humans instinctively figure out another person's thoughts by their words, body language, and visible displays of emotion. Although simply asking the other person may yield more accurate results, mind reading can bypass that step. However, it can also lead to significant misunderstandings. As the old saying goes, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Commanders, uniquely enough, don't care to make assumptions about other people's thoughts. They may believe that what another person is thinking, even if it pertains to the commander, is none of their business, and they feel little need to make it their business. Our research found that commanders believe that their first impression of people is rarely wrong. Distrust, stereotype, specific groups of people, including but not limited to authority figures, generally are less concerned about the opinions of others, are relatively unbothered if someone doesn't like them. Increased awareness for efficiency's sake. It is not natural for commanders to feel empathetic. Although the effort to gauge another person's mental map may seem futile, if not downright exhausting, it can help to advance commanders in both their personal and professional lives. If done correctly, of course. Here are some ways that commanders can try to increase their interest in others. Remind yourself that getting into the heads of others can help you to predict the world around you. For example, if your spouse is upset, it could be worthwhile to gauge their emotions, so it'll be easier for you to comfort them, both now and in the future. Raise awareness of mind reading by noticing and predicting what you believe are other people's thoughts and assumptions. Then ask questions to test your predictions. Instead of thinking, "They will be fine with this," ask them. Be careful with assuming everybody has the same regard for your standards and the behaviors you value. Look for ways to include everyone in the loop. As Ronald Reagan said, trust, but verify. Learning to adapt your spontaneous and pragmatic impulses to include the ideas and desires of others can produce whole new layers of pragmatism to your life. July 25, 2022 update. Criticism plays a large role in our lives, from the bully who tells you that your nose is too large, to the kind teacher helping you perfect your essay, to even a concerned parent who wants you to aim just a bit higher. Depending on who you are, criticism can have the power to make you or break you. Here, we define criticism as disapproval or judgment of one's perceived faults, both constructive and deconstructive. As a commander, you are likely to face some specific challenges and opportunities when it comes to criticism. Let's discuss some examples below. Where do commanders struggle? Commanders tend to be critical of others. This isn't surprising considering that their minds are always sussing out what needs improvement, what can be better, and who can be better. Our research suggests that commanders are likely to struggle with criticism because they are quick to criticize others, but uncomfortable receiving judgment themselves. Turbulent commanders are one of the most likely types to dislike receiving criticism, despite how easily they criticize others. May believe themselves to be above reproach. May believe that people are mostly incompetent and undeserving of power, therefore deserving criticism. Do not take others' attempts at doing their best as an adequate response to failure. So they judge accordingly. Opportunities when you need new, refreshing, and logical approaches, you look to commanders. By combining their sharp observation skills, confidence, and dynamism, commanders can inspire others with innovative and concise criticism, practice empathy and softness when dealing with subordinates and superiors. Take care to remember that sometimes their way may not always be the best. August 8, 2022 update. Not many people would say, "I hate nature," but personality type may sort those with a disinclination toward furry creatures and green pastures versus those who will not only go into nature, but may even go pet a deer in the woods. Commanders may admire the deer but probably won't approach it. The combination of the intuitive and thinking traits makes for a person who feels deeply connected to nature but doesn't go completely out of their way to become one with nature. Commanders are likely to regard the destruction of nature as distasteful but at times necessary, and they won't feel personally affected enough to disrupt the status quo. These types will donate money to nature preservation organizations, and they'll do their part to be conscientious about how they affect the world around them. But they won't lecture others on their choices. Our research found that commanders enjoy spending time outside in nature. Get lost in thought while in nature, especially turbulent commanders. Have a relatively easy time bonding with animals. Turning passion into action. A love of nature is a wonderful thing. However, nature-loving types might find themselves in conflict when they hear about the destruction of nature. Commanders, with their need to innovate, are likely to feel frustrated by seeing things in the natural world suffer, a result of humans' inefficiencies and imperfections. Here are some things they can do to direct passion to action. Be patient with those who are easily hurt by the destruction of nature. For example, don't scoff at people who cry about a bird dying. Get involved with local government to see what you can do at a grassroots level to help the planet. Often, the biggest aid to the planet starts in the community. Be more conscientious about what nature preservation organizations you donate to. Do your research. And don't allow yourself to be fooled into donating to an unproductive charity. August 22, 2022 update. People tend to talk about how creative others are, i.e., quantity, rather than how they're creative, i.e., style. In truth, the amount may not be the thing that most distinguishes creativity. Creativity researcher Michael Curtin established a model that places creativity on a continuum, with adapters at one end and innovators at the other. Adapters improve on existing things, while innovators are more disruptive and change things more profoundly. Anyone expressing creativity falls on this continuum. By this reckoning, commanders are firmly ensconced in the innovator column, closer to being revolutionary than adaptive. Like all things, there can be some positive and negative features with both approaches. Let's explore some that you may want to consider. Challenges. The following list provides some tells that show commanders are more likely to be innovators than adaptive creators. While the research below may appeal to the innovative commanders, there's always a downside when an approach is unbalanced. When given a task, commanders prefer to integrate different ideas into a whole, rather than explore one idea in depth. This suggests they're likely to combine familiar ideas to create something entirely new. Commanders are very unlikely to say that they'd rather execute plans someone else came up with than devise an original one. Commanders are one of the most likely personality types to be interested in unconventional and ambiguous concepts found in books, arts, or movies. They tend to believe they're better at finding unconventional solutions to old problems than most other people. In the worst-case scenario, commanders may continue to reinvent the wheel, or find themselves jumping from idea to idea in superficial ways, being charmed more by novelty than purpose. Sometimes good enough is good enough, but that message can be lost on people bent on innovation. Opportunities innovating commanders, in a best-case scenario, may end up discovering revolutionary ideas never considered. This can make them cutting-edge, idea people, if they remain balanced and keep practical ends in mind. Here are some tips for commanders to balance out innovative ideas. Try to collaborate with someone who has practical leanings as a balance to some of your more unconventional ideas. Remember that extremes are often, almost by definition, counterproductive. Conventional ideas aren't always interesting, but they probably become conventions for a reason. Usefulness and expediency tend to trump stimulating ideas in most situations. On the other hand, there's no progress without someone pushing the envelope. So, push on, but maintain effectiveness as the final goal. September 5, 2022 update. For some, remaining with a steady partner is a dream come true, but it is boredom for others. Whether or not you think traditional monogamy is for you, you might wonder something that intrigued us. What, if anything, does personality type have to do with commitment? The answer is, emphatically, a lot. How you see the world, thinking versus feeling traits, for example, can have a major impact on whether you're eager to head down the aisle, or whether you enjoy being single and ready to mingle. Commanders are an odd combination of starry-eyed idealists and the bitterest of cynics. They want to believe that love can last forever, but they're too aware of how often it doesn't. Our research found that commanders tend to believe that romantic feelings don't last for very long. Turbulent commanders in particular are likely to say that everlasting love doesn't exist. Become somewhat bored by romantic relationships that are stable and predictable. Curiously, are the most likely of all types to want to have 3 or more children. Feel comfortable when they are not in a romantic relationship. Get nervous with long-term commitment in general. Seek dynamic relationships. No one wants to end up alone. But that doesn't mean commanders should settle either, though we doubt that was on your mind. To curb their natural cynicism toward romance, commanders can seek out a partner with complementary yet obviously different traits. For example, developing a dynamic, growth-oriented relationship with someone more emotional. Recognize that though they are reluctant to choose a long-term romantic partner, once they do, it will be because they absolutely want to be with their partner, and no other reason. Become comfortable with the idea of disappointment in relationships. It is important to remember that even in the healthiest, most dynamic romances, disappointment is inevitable. Instead of ending a relationship due to momentary boredom, consider instead how to liven up the relationship rather than abruptly jumping ship. September 19, 2022 update. There is no definitive way to correctly raise children. If there were, there wouldn't be thousands, and we literally mean thousands, of books, programs, conferences geared toward child rearing. While we can't tell you the right way to raise your kids, we can tell you which ways of parenting should feel most natural to you, based on your specific personality type. Commanders are one of the most intelligent and independent personality types, which can be both beneficial and limiting. Their prime desire for their children is that they're able to be, well, the best, and this can prevent commander parents from truly giving their kids the structure they need. Our research suggests that commanders are most likely to face challenges as parents because they set their standards very high for their children. Commanders strive for efficiency and perfection. and this tendency may translate to how they raise their children. May believe in strong or harsh discipline to teach kids proper behavior. Commanders, especially turbulent ones, with 81% in agreement, are the second most likely type to agree that strong discipline is the way to go. Believe that protecting their sons and daughters from life's difficulties isn't always necessary. May have difficulties emotionally bonding with their children. To clarify, this doesn't mean the parenting methods commanders use are wrong. Rather, true to their need for rational thought, they focus on their children becoming effective thinkers and competent individuals, and tend to not focus on their emotional support and development. Emotional tolerance for balanced child-parent relationships. As commanders become more experienced with their own parenting style, they can relax their demand for perfectionism. In their ongoing growth and development, they can practice being aware of their kids' emotions and being supportive of even small activities. Ciali with more sensitive children who are easily affected by indifference. Work on being more expressive with affection. It's difficult, but it's essential for child development. Remember that children aren't just small adults, and they haven't yet developed many of the functions and capabilities needed to live up to commanders' often high expectations. Embrace commanders' inherent ability to spark a thirst for knowledge and innovation in their sons and daughters. October 3, 2022 update. If beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, value is in the mind of the consumer. Michelle Jenner. We live in a consumer age. Few would argue with that. There's merchandise everywhere. Major purchases are no further than our keyboards, and different people relate to it in different ways. Within the Google ads urging you to buy, look for the word minimalist, and you're likely to find it trending or highly represented in the results. The popularity of simplifying as unique search topic shows consumerism's backlash is as prevalent as consumerism itself. Love this material world or hate it, it's hard to ignore. Do different personalities regard consumerism or shopping in different ways? When they go online, to the mall, or to the supermarket, do differing personalities consider different things? Responses to our polls suggest traits influence these sensibilities. For example, we find that commanders like you are very likely to do most of their shopping online, are less brand conscious when compared to most other types, choosing functionality over prestige, and comfort over looking good, tend not to see shopping as an event to celebrate, and are one of the least likely types to show off purchases to families or friends, are very unlikely to say that shopping makes them feel better. While commanders don't necessarily shop with status in mind, they might go too far in the opposite direction. Just because these deep thinkers aren't fashion conscious, it doesn't mean their images aren't occasionally important. While they might dismiss the concept that clothes make the man or the woman, the saying is cliché for a reason. Sometimes, good impressions are made or lost at initial meetings where people search for outward signs of quality, even if those signs are mostly superficial. Opportunities commanders are pragmatists about opening their wallets. Their sensible regard for such things is likely to benefit them financially, as they avoid paying top dollar for goods that work the same as lesser-known brands at lower prices. In some ways, they're already minimalists without all the effort. However, when it's time to upgrade their images or spending practices, they may want to bring along a fashionista friend to advise them on clothing purchases. Consider that things that seem superficial to commanders like name brand clothing, technology, or cars send an initial message about quality to others. First impressions are sometimes important. Make sure that being sensible isn't the same as depriving oneself of life's finer things. Everyone deserves an occasional reward. October 17, 2022 update. What is success? And how important is achieving success? The answers to these questions are certainly unique to each individual. However, Our research shows that personality type plays a role in how different types define and pursue their ideas of success. Commanders are very interested in pursuing their personal definition of success, and this may play a significant role in how they approach their lives. Specifically, our research has found that commanders spend a lot of time thinking about achieving success, and tend to know very well what success means to them personally. Are the most likely type to see financial success as an indicator of life success. Feel that other people have played a significant role in their success. Are more likely than most other types to consider themselves successful. Think that the more successful they are, the more likely they are to be happy. Commanders are always looking towards the future, including believing that they will be truly happy once they achieve specific goals. Are likely to get a lot of pressure from their family to be successful. Are more likely than most other types to say that success is mostly a result of hard work. Finding a meaningful definition of success. While there's certainly nothing wrong with working toward achieving success, it's important for commanders to determine what this concept truly means to them without worrying about society's definition. Money, power, and fame don't necessarily bring happiness. And it's best to work on finding ways to feel happy and fulfilled now rather than waiting for some event to happen to achieve these states of being. Some suggestions for commanders for finding their own sense of success now include: make a list of achievements that you have already made in your life, little league trophies, placing a debate competitions, or mastering some tricky code. Anything that you have done that made you feel proud or accomplished. Determine what your true long-term goals are. Make sure that these goals are based on your personal dreams and desires, not the expectations of others. November 3, 2022 update. Seeking out perfection is said to be one of the greatest challenges of the human condition. For commanders, there is no other way but to improve the system. They don't go out of their way to be perfectionists, but it doesn't occur to them to not fix things. Perfectionism can define their social, professional, and romantic lives in multiple ways. And for commanders, it can range from something as simple as reorganizing a disheveled pantry to completely revolutionizing an industry. Commanders have very high standards, with little tolerance for errors. Their combined intuitive and judging traits make for people who clearly see the best routes possible, with a ferocious, single-minded drive to achieve their goals. Their idealistic, visionary view contrasted with harsh reality tends to be the root of many of commanders' decisions. Our research shows that commanders are likely to be unable to accept imperfection, strive for perfect results in everything they do. Commanders, particularly turbulent ones, are the most likely of all types to do everything as perfectly as possible, with 95% in agreement. Define themselves by their ability to reach flawlessly rational conclusions, so they may experience anger or shame when they're trapped by life's unreasonableness. Embracing reality, commanders are in the odd position of being one of the most visionary of personality types, and yet the hardest cynics in the room. When it comes to achieving their goal or dealing with people, they aim for the best possible version available. This can mean relentlessly pushing themselves and everyone around them, or trying to change others to meet their ideals. Before commanders can feel satisfaction, they first feel constant disappointment. The remedy for this is as follows: remember reality. Their perfectionistic tendencies stem from their comparing what is in their heads to what's in front of them, so commanders can ask themselves, is this fair to ask of myself and other people? Give themselves enough time to reach their lofty goals. For example, instead of believing they can master an instrument in only 6 months or have a grand career at the age of 25, they choose achievable goals. Be patient with others' errors. Commanders are gifted with a rare sort of focus, and they shouldn't expect everyone to be as goal-oriented as they are. Rather than try to shape people into something they're not, Commanders can instead find ways to utilize others' perceived flaws. November 17, 2022 update. Life is a continual process of self-improvement, however. This concept means different things to different people. For commanders, improving their skills and achieving ever higher levels of success are the primary motivations behind any form of personal development. They approach self-improvement with a mixture of idealism and ambition, a desire to be the best and the brightest. Commanders' intuitive and thinking traits work in tandem to encourage personal growth that aligns with an ultimate goal. Where other types may believe that self-improvement should be about finding purpose in everything they do, or improving their relationships with others. Commanders quickly reject these mindsets as lacking in vision and focus. Specifically, our research has indicated that commanders are likely to believe that building or improving relationships with others is unnecessary for personal betterment. Commanders live in a world of ideas and possibilities, and often prefer to focus on improving said ideas instead of developing their relationships. Assume that advancing in their careers is one of the most important components of self-improvement. Have little interest in improving their emotional intelligence. Reassess success, constantly striving to become more successful and knowledgeable or worthy goals. But failing to address personal weaknesses or improve interpersonal relationships may leave commanders feeling empty and incomplete later in life. Being a wealthy CEO or a brilliant entrepreneur certainly provides some of the trappings of success, but neglecting to give the proper attention to their friends, family, and significant others can inevitably result in bitterness, resentment, and loneliness. Commanders who are able to reassess their ideas of what success is by integrating both personal and professional goals can ultimately find their lives to be more fulfilling. Interested? Try the following. Practice appreciating relationships. Consider the 3 most important people in your life. What is one thing you could do to improve each of these relationships? What is one way each of these relationships improves your life? Work to live, don't live to work. Excelling at your career is certainly a noble goal, but if it comes at the expense of participating in enjoyable hobbies or engaging in meaningful relationships, that career may not be worth it in the long run. Address flaws for maximum self-improvement. For real growth and development to take place, it's necessary to determine what your weaknesses are and figure out how to balance them with your strengths. Emotional intelligence, specifically, is an often overlooked area where improvement can make a significant difference, both in personal and professional settings. December 1, 2022 update. Some people live as much in yesterday as they do in the present. Others ignore what's come before, and are happy to have little to do with it. Most of us are somewhere in between. The past inevitably adds context and textures to most our lives, whether we embrace it or not. Challenges: does personality type influence how individuals regard the past? Our polls suggest that perhaps it does, and we've discovered that commanders are among the least likely to feel comfortable with the mistakes they have made in the past, are unlikely to live by the admonition to forgive and forget, are unlikely to want to keep in touch with distant living relations, even though they enjoy researching their ancestry. Family history and connections seem worthy of study to commanders, but only if they can keep their objective distance. Commanders are a mixed bag with nostalgia. They're hardly sentimental types, but they may use the past to help explain the present. When they come to visit, keep the dusty photo albums on the shelf and visit a genealogy website. They'll likely skip a heartfelt nostalgia trip but find familial data creeping like a vine around the branches of the ancestral tree interesting. Opportunities our research doesn't suggest that commanders ignore the past as much as they pay attention to only the parts that inform the present. It's useful to them to remember who's slighted them, and they're open to genealogy as a practical version of genetic slight. For commanders, a more objective view of history can be a more accurate one. They're likely more critical of the past than others. Most see the past through a romantic filter that, once removed, reveals a harsher reality than they remember. Commanders serve as the guardians of that which is real, accurate, and rational. To handle the past in the most useful way, commanders may want to remember. The people in their lives may have emotional, subjective ties to the past, and commanders may get along better with them if they respect that. There's no crime in feeling emotional ties to one's forebears. Their more objective view of the past may hold value for them and others. December 15, 2022 update. Of all the trials we face in life, the loss of a loved one may be one of the hardest to endure, much less overcome. During these dark times, the worst within us rises and threatens to overwhelm, but while we are at our worst, we are also at our best. Our unique strengths appear as we fight to persevere. Grief is universal, but understanding the particular challenges that each personality type faces may help us prepare for the inevitable and cope with the irreversible. The intense emotional journey can be a bewildering experience for commanders, as they attempt to rationalize the sudden swells of feelings. For commanders, difficulties are only problems that have not yet been solved, and allowing room for life's greatest unsolvable mystery does not come easy for them. Our research found that commanders would love to live forever, even if they were the only ones with that ability. 52% of commanders have no doubt they could face immortality alone. Are skeptical that what awaits them after death is undeniably good, with 39% agreeing. Do not feel excited about the idea of life after death, with only 42% of commanders agreeing. Commanders may be tempted to circumvent the trauma that comes with a loved one's passing. However, powerful emotions cannot be eradicated, only suppressed. Until the hurt becomes too much even for a commander's iron will to rein in. Allowing emotional release for commanders, emotional reactions seem irrational, stripping us of control at the times we need it most. Surrendering to emotion is defeat for commanders, and they may become more guarded in times of stress. But the absence of the effects of an emotion is not the same as absence of emotion. How, then, do commanders deal with grief? Here are some ways. They tend to pick up more responsibilities than they normally would in order to distract themselves. They may become hyper-efficient as they try to maintain concrete control in the face of uncontrollable grief. They are adept at concealing their emotional states. But the feelings inevitably appear in some place or another. Consider, for example, an argument with a commander becoming unusually vicious. Here are some ways to better cope. Take time off from responsibilities, such as work. Take time to talk to loved ones, as concealing your emotions always has a way of worsening the effects of grief. Find a trusted confidant to confide in. Sharing emotions can provide a measure of control over themselves that is less damaging than attempting to be overly controlling of others or their environment. December 29, 2022 update. The family you come from isn't as important as the family you're going to have. Ring Lardner. In a world where family is touted as being extremely important, how do those who hold mental exploration and personal development as priorities fare? This is a question that you, as a commander, may ask. Do you let your siblings depend on you because you love them, or do you simply go your own way? It depends, you may answer. Commanders' traits make them people who can see all combinations of possibility within the social realm, who have an ideal in mind, but who may also be constantly disappointed by the world around them. Our research found that commanders, when assertive, are the most likely of all types to host family reunions. Feel as though their family's affection is based on their success. Feel as though family can't surprise them because they know them too well. When assertive, are the least likely to feel sibling rivalry. Enjoying siblings as they are the key to better sibling relationships is to not expect their siblings to be better, smarter, easier to deal with and so on. Instead, commanders can learn to accept their siblings as they are, in a quantity that's bearable, of course. While this piece of advice is well known, it's not well practiced. There's a good amount of radical acceptance that goes into loving siblings, even when commanders don't like them. To enjoy their siblings more, commanders can let what happened in childhood stay in childhood. Yes, their siblings may have invaded commanders' space more times than they could count, but now they're older and different. Try giving them a chance. Make an appearance at an event that's genuinely important to them. Sure, commanders can see them every Christmas. But how about showing up for the marathon that their brother's been training months for, or at their sister's coveted trivia night? Model the values of energetic cataclysm, acting, and creativity that commanders are so well known for.